Hey folks, it's Adam once again. I can't see the guy. Right, back to another movie review. I'm now reviewing the Wishmaster series, everybody. And we've come to part 2 in the Wishmaster series. Wishmaster 2 Evil Never Dies. And if you missed my first review, I own the Wishmaster collection. The Collector's Series Edition Blu-ray. This is not in the UK yet. Not that I know of. I bought this when it was brand new and it just became in a different region, but I own a Blu-ray multi-region player, so I can play, different content of different regions of Blu-ray. The first Wishmaster movie I liked. It was, despite it being panned by critics about it having worst acting, worst effects, all that bullshit, but I disagreed with that. I disagreed with the fact that people say the effects were poor, because I think it had scenes of great effects. I thought it was creative. They had a great cast, the likes of Robert Englund, Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, Andrew Divoff, who plays the Djinn, the evil genie who grants the wishes. I think it had the making to a great horror movie. It had it all there. It had the gore, it had everything. It had everything. And I think that would have been the great opportunity to turn the Wishmaster into a great horror icon. If done correctly, he could have been up there with the likes of Freddy and Jason if it was done right. Sadly, people, that's not the case. Because we're now coming to Wishmaster Part 2, Evil Never Dies. And sadly, that's where it went downhill. Despite it only being the second movie in the series, it went downhill from there, people, and I think that's really sad. Where do we begin? This is a review / rant. Meaning there's things I liked about the movie and things I didn't like about the movie. But I've got to tell you, after comparing everything and after looking back on this movie, there's more things I disliked than I did like. What the fuck happened here? It's really sad. I'll state a few good things. I think there's only about 2 or 3 good things. I suppose the number one best thing about this movie is Andrew Divoff came back to play the Djinn, the evil genie. It was nice to see Andrew Divoff come back. He did an excellent job in the first movie. The way he spoke, the way he looked, the way he smirked, smiled, did an evil smile. The evil genius mind. He did it well. I think he was born to play the Wishmaster, in my opinion. Just like Robert Englund is when he was born to play Freddy and all those other horror icons. I think this was his horror icon, Andrew Divoff's. It was his character. And it was nice to see him come back. And just like the first movie, I think he did a fine job. In the first movie, I think he did an epic job. But in this movie, although I think he did a fine job, I don't think he lived up to the hype like he did in the first movie. That's just my opinion. But you can tell that he still did his voice the same way. He did his looks the same way. He did his expressions the same way. Andrew Divoff did fine. He's not the problem in this movie. Another thing I liked about this movie was some gore scenes. Only some. In fact, if I can only remember, there's only one good gore scene that stood out for me, and that's when the Djinn's in prison, and that guy wishes to go right through the bars. The Djinn grants his wish, says, "Wish granted," and he goes right through the bars, squeezing him through. He bleeds the fuck to death, and there's hardly nothing left of him. He's like minced meat on the other side of the bars because he wishes to go through the bars. I think that's the only memorable kill in the whole movie. I thought the rest of the wishes were lame, uncreative, and just careless. This sequel was disappointing. It's a major step down from the first movie. Basically, the film opens up, you have these 2 thieves, one's male, one's female. They broke into this building where there's loads of paintings and ornaments, and the Wishmaster just happens to be in there. Anyway, the boyfriend ends up getting shot by the guard, I think, and she ends up shooting the guard, killing him, and that was her biggest regret now, because he had a family or whatever. In the process, the djinn gets released because I think the painting got shot at, or the statue got shot at, I can't remember what he was in. And that's how he got released. Now, the girl who's the leading role in this movie, I know I stated in the first movie that the first actress in the first movie who was the hero who defeated the djinn wasn't up there with Heather Langenkamp who played Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street. She wasn't up there with any other female actress you can name who defeated a villain. But this villain who played her, don't get me wrong, she was nice looking and all that, but I don't think she was a very convincing role player or an actress. Especially when you compare it to the first one, Alexandra. This film, you can't even call it a decent sequel because it didn't even connect to the first one. In the second one, they broke some rules, they changed the story, they changed the whole being of the Wishmaster, saying now what's 1,001 souls and all that kind of shit. So they've broke the rules, basically. And the first thing that got me scratching my head was the guard who pointed the gun at Andrew Duvall and said, "Freeze." He says, "Is that what you want?" And he said, "Freeze." So he freezes him like fucking Sub-Zero. And I'm thinking, he didn't wish to freeze. He just gave Andrew Duvall an order. You know, when he said freeze, that's an order, it's not a wish. But still, he freezed him. And the whole point of the Wishmaster is he can't really do anything to these people unless they wish for it. He twists the wishes, that was his whole purpose. Anyway, the female thief, she's got a friend who's a priest. Didn't really give a fuck about his character either. That's the whole problem with this movie. You just did not give a flying fuck about the characters. I mean, Andrew Duvall gets arrested. He goes into a prison. So the first thing I'm saying is, okay, it might get a little good from here because a prison, nice setting. People are bound to grant wishes in there. There's going to be loads of inmates who will want certain things like wish for drugs, or wish to have someone killed, or wish to see their family. You know, I'm thinking, what evil intentions could the Wishmaster have in a prison? There's going to be loads of ideas. We got the first good idea about the guy saying he wants to go through the bars. That happened. I was really impressed with that scene. It was very gory and kind of creative, but not near enough as creative as the wishes that were in part one. Anyhow, he meets this guy who's Russian. They end up being friends or whatever. And then it introduces one of the main characters in the prison, the guard. Let me look him up because I can't remember his name. And although I should remember his name because I've met this guy in real life, Tony Tim Lister. He was with Hulk Hogan in the WWE. And plus he's had numerous movie roles. Now, bear with me 1 second. Now, Tom Lister, like I say, I've met him in real life. He's a nice guy. He told me a nice interesting story about the time Hulk Hogan broke his nose in the ring. He's blind in one eye. But Lister, I suppose he was a convincing bodyguard. I mean, he's got the build, he's got the look of a guard. Don't get me wrong. We come across one weird scene where this lawyer, where he grants a wish for a lawyer to go and fuck himself. And it's just done in this craziest fashion where his back turns up, like not in a gross way or like in a gruesome way or in a gory way. His like back goes up between his legs and fucks himself in the chair. No blood, but he survives. And that's where your biggest mind-scratching thing comes in mind, saying, why is a Wishmaster killing these people off? Isn't his purpose to kill these people so he can get their souls? So he can take over the fucking world or whatever? But you'll generally find none of these people in these movies actually die, yet his mission is to claim 1,001 souls. And there's a scene in the casino where he's saying, my time and patience is running out, I need 1,001 souls. So why are he doing that? Why is he getting all these opportunities to take souls, but yet he doesn't do it? Like the scene in the laundry room in the fucking prison, where the guy says, I wish to get wasted, I want to be stomped into the ground." So he gets his two mates to do karate on him, karate kicks or whatever. He hasn't been stumped into the ground, he has a little bit of a nosebleed, but he didn't die. One thing leads to another, and he ends up leaving the prison with this Russian guy. They end up going to this place where the Russian guy introduces his crime boss to him. Again, another lame and uncreative wish, where he wishes for to have somebody's head, and the Wishmaster grants his wish, and basically got another actor to put on the same clothes as him, and he had his head, but didn't kill him. And that's straight away. That's when the Wishmaster says, "I need 1001 souls, and my time is running out." And I'm thinking, wow, Wishmaster, you've got all these opportunities to do killings, and yet you've never fucking done it. You've had all these wishes granted to all these individuals, and you've not even took not one of their souls yet. So I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on here? I mean, the ending scene, I suppose the first half of the scene in the prison was more interesting, but the second half, where it took place in the casino, really I didn't care for. I mean, it wasn't like the scene in Wishmaster 1 where Robert Englund wished for a party to be remembered, and all those people got mutilated and dismembered, the bodies being ripped to pieces and all that, people being set on fire. That's not the case in number 2. In number 2, it was rather more careless and more simpler, because you see a bunch of gambling cards going in people's faces. For some reason, you see a woman shitting gold coins. No blood, no gore, just shitting gold coins. We encounter the priest and the girl. I know I haven't mentioned much about the girl, but she nearly has jack shit in this movie. She doesn't really do much, other than she feels sorry for the god who she killed because she had a family. He had a family, like. So it's just like her and this priest trying to stop the Wishmaster. And there was a scene where he put him on the cross and had thorns around his head like if he was Jesus on a fucking cross, and didn't wish anything, but yet somehow he ends up back in the jewel again, just like in the first movie. So there was no creative ending for the Wishmaster. He wasn't destroyed or anything like that. He was just put him back in the fucking jewel again. Then her and the priest end up hugging or whatever and having a nice ending. But quite frankly, the viewers really give a fuck about these two characters. I mean, I know I didn't. I mean, according to the reviews of this, this budget had a lower budget than the first movie, and you could tell this movie was a low budget movie. At least in the first movie, they put effort into like the creativity and the effects and all that. But I can understand why this movie was panned. I mean, it only has an approval rating of 10% based on views from 10 critics. They're saying, "Oh, it's just like the first movie. It was panned. It was no good. Poor acting, poor effects." I can understand where they're coming from with this movie, this lame sequel, but I don't really understand where they're coming from with the first movie. But I guess it's just down to fucking opinions again at the end of the day. I did not think this was a good sequel, everybody. It was just nice to see Andrew Divoff come back, and it was just nice to see a few little gore scenes. That's all. Overall, it wasn't good. I mean, just one or two little scenes of goodness does not make a great movie, does it? You got to have a great movie from start to finish, and this movie was a step down from the first one. Pretty careless scenes, pretty lame plot. I like the idea it took place in a prison because that's where the Wishmaster belongs. That's where you can grant all the evil wishes and twists. But the creativity just wasn't there. It was like as if it was the first Wishmaster movie, but with a poorer script. And they picked that poor script and says, "Right, we'll use that poor script as a sequel." And that's what they did. So all I can say is it's really sad, people. It's really sad that the Wishmaster series turned out the way it did. I mean, I like Wishmaster 4. I don't like Wishmaster 3. I know people despise Wishmaster 3 and 4, but like I say, we're all different. I'll get to why I don't like number 4. But 3 is even more horrendous than this movie. And I'll get into my reasons why for that in a different review. But as of right now, I just want to say, please leave your comments. Give me your thoughts about what you think of the sequel, Wishmaster 2. Some people would say it's a mediocre movie with some fine moments, but I've already stated the moments about what I think. So, good to see Andrew Devoff come back, and good to see a few little gore scenes. That's about it. Otherwise, this movie was like out, down the fucking shitter. I'd have to say it's one of the most poorest sequels I've ever seen in a horror movie. Wishmaster 2 Evil Never Dies. Everything was completely careless. I mean, I didn't even enjoy it in the Blu-ray version, so there you have it, everybody. Poor wishes, poor creativity, poor everything. Even the Wishmaster seemed a little weaker in his character in this movie, so there you have it. So, like I say, please like, rate, and comment, and leave all your comments below, and give your thoughts about what you think about this movie, or any movie for that matter in this franchise. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Peace out.